Hey guys, it's Joe and Justin with Tuning Tuesday, episode 29. We're almost to that big 30 of doing all the questions and whatnot.
I think the episodes are older than you know at this point.
Basically. Well, they are, if you do just by numbers. So, do we want to start with this little guy?
Now let's let the anticipation build, just like the meme that I sent to Rick earlier.
Oh man, I didn't even see that one yet. Did you send it in private message, or was it as a response to that thing that Rick posted?
It was a private conversation between me and Rick Cackness.
Man.
Yeah.
Wonder what happens in there.
Man.
When do we want to do? When do we want to do this meme thing?
We got
the caption, the meme thing.
We should do it now, actually. So part of what we wanted to do was the
contest,
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I think that we should go ahead. That way they have, during the whole show, that they can put a caption up there.
So we have a contest for everybody.
Yep. Where you can win a thing.
Yes. You can win some VMP stuff. And Chris is going to bring up an image, and then you guys are going to caption this image for us. And Carrie, can you tell us a little bit more about the contest?
Yeah, so basically, we're going to put this image up. We'll probably put it up maybe a couple times during the show, and you have the opportunity to caption this. We want you to caption it within the comments, either on YouTube or Facebook. And, all right, I won the last one. So, the captions, what's going to happen is Justin and Joe, they're going to, I hear audio.
Sorry.
That's okay. They're going to pick the caption that they like best. And whoever wins will get some VMP swag. I'll reach out to the winner and we'll send you some goodies. So the big thing is this is the image. You'll see it up right now. They are praising the Gen 3. So now's the time for you guys to go ahead and send in your caption ideas for this image throughout the show. And
in case you don't remember, like and subscribe to the video. Like and subscribe.
And share with your friends and comment.
If you know someone with a Coyote or a question about a GT500, share it with them. Yeah. Maybe they can get their question answered.
We're here to talk about tuning and other cool stuff.
And tuning support.
Tuning support, tuning combinations, how tuning works.
I'm not here to tell you how to tune. I'll tell you how some of the logic works if you have a question about that, like knock sensors or stuff like that, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it.
Just you'll learn that on your own. If you will impress us with intelligent questions, though.
Yes, yes.
Carrie.
Did you pull up the document that I sent you so that way you can see the captions as they come in?
No, I'm watching myself on Facebook.
He's Facebooking while he Facebooks. Facebook Inception.
Captions, invitation to edit. Now, I know that was the plan, Carrie, so I was like thinking about that.
It's all good.
So Joe and I are going to get to pick the best caption, and like we said, we'll get you get some VMP stuff. So Andrew Vincent's already got one, the Holy Blower.
I guess we'll see what else funnels through. You want to pick up on another topic while we're waiting for all the captions to funnel in?
Let's let the Terminator stuff simmer.
Put it on the burner.
So Joe and I have been tuning, and more tuning.
With a side of tuning.
Yeah. What's going on in the tuning world, Joe?
Lots of 18 manifold stuff on 15, 17 cars. I've only played with 1 or 2 on the 11, 14 cars, and then just trying to get caught up from all the orders, which I'm fairly certain is never going to happen because it's like laundry. But
I know that feeling in a household with 7 people.
I can imagine.
And you only have 2 people and a dog.
Yeah, and we each do our own laundry, so she does hers and I do mine.
Oh, that's how I like it.
Yeah.
Then there's just the kids' laundry to do.
Exactly, and I don't have to worry about making sure the bras are hooked together before I throw them in the washer or anything like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, then they don't snag like clothes and panties and rip them all up with the little hooks.
See, mine have to be air dried. They cannot be, not mine, my wife's. Have to be air dried.
You have to be very careful with your grammar here.
Yeah. They cannot go in. There's certain things that cannot be dried.
Yeah.
When you cohabitate.
When you do the maiden things.
Yeah. So, 18 manifold stuff. Cool stuff that we've been tuning lately.
Hi,
Tons
Vegas.
of mail order tune requests for that. Some dyno tunes on them. Some potential stories about... So, like, I don't know if you know this. We're collecting manifolds over in the shipping area.
I did not know that.
So, like, I think I have one of each manifold ever made for the Coyote that matters.
All the relevant manifolds.
Yeah, all the relevant manifolds. Because, like, at this point, we're starting to get, like, a lot of freaking manifolds for the Coyote. And then you can port them. So, like, I technically need to have on the shelf a stock one and a ported one. Because almost all the manifolds except for GT350 do really well with porting. There's, like, areas around the injector bung that that benefit from some material removal to get more flow, more swept volume for better flow. I guess the 18 manifold has a lot of mismatches internally.
I saw a couple pictures. I believe Barber was the one that posted them of like the steps leading right up to the intake port.
So we're working with Brett Barber, and you know the 18 manifold supplies finally starting to come in, get caught up with all the back orders. So we've got some on the shelf, and we're actually working to we've secured a long-term supply of 18 manifolds. So that's something really hot that we're really interested in. We have got prototype plug-and-play harnesses for the 18 manifolds that, like, we're looking at all the wiring issues, all the sensor issues to basically have a true plug-and-play option for the 18 manifold.
For the people that do want to retain IMRC.
Well, you know, I was going to talk to you about this, but my opinion is to keep the IMRCs. What do you think?
I think if there's a cheap or reasonably cheap option to maintain the IMRCs, there's no real point to get rid of them. I can tune them without IMRCs, no problem. But to me, it's like, all right, it has IMRC stock. Why not leave them in there if it comes on the platform that you're pulling the intake from as well?
I mean, it's good. It's got benefits as far as just the whole calibration was designed to work with IMRCs. If we can leave them there,
I'd rather.
Yeah, rather leave them there. So there's unless you've got an 11 to 14 that you're putting the manifold on, I don't see a good reason to lock them out and delete them. And there's some weird stuff like Fox body swaps, I guess. There's not a whole lot
Where you got to take the
clearance.
IMRCs off for the firewall clearance. Yeah.
But on 15 to 17, IMRC that sucker all the way. Carrie, are we getting any questions in we need to answer?
We have a few questions. Of course, there's a question on the 03 Cobra. What horsepower gains will be on Gen 3 versus Gen 2 with the same setup?
Saw that. We'll get to that a little later.
That's what I figured. Joshua says, I have a 14 GT with full bolt-ons, VMP Gen 2R, NA comp cam stage 3, camshafts. The car shuts off when make a complete stop. When I'm driving, do I need an L&M low vacuum bypass valve, or the VMP doesn't need it with these cams? The cams that he has are three. Let's see, it's XFI NSR.
Yeah, and I can see the question right here, but that's kind of two questions in one. The low vacuum bypass won't fix a car stalling as you like clutch in to come to a stop. That's not what that's intended for.
I was thinking that too, yeah.
Your name doesn't sound familiar, so if you're tuned through us, shoot us a couple data logs of what you're referring to. If you're not tuned through us, which I don't believe you are because I don't recognize your name, get with your tuner and just ask them to take a peek at some data logs and see if there's anything they can do about the stall.
So I want to talk about cams on like a very basic level. Why might you need a low vacuum bypass valve with cams?
Because the amount of manifold vacuum generated at idle and part throttle on a car with cams, not so much cars with VCT that's active, like 5 liters, but more so GT500s, Cobras, stuff like that, the low vacuum bypass valve is necessary because there's a preload on the
5 PSI spring in the bypass valve.
So if you're cruising down the road at part throttle, we'll call it like 40 to 60% load maintaining speed, and that's just enough load to drop your vacuum down far enough to where the bypass valve is now half to 3/4 of the way closed and you're not bypassing the air like you need to at part throttle. You can generate a lot of heat in a supercharger keeping the bypass valve closed or almost closed. So
is the purpose of the low vacuum bypass valve?
Because it uses manifold vacuum to pull the valve open. So anytime you have manifold vacuum, the valve's open. And anytime it's closed, it's because you have pressure in the manifold.
So, and there's another, so that was really 2 questions in one. There's another component of that question. My car stalls out with cams. I like to think of that as cams are hungry for air. Aftermarket cams are a lot less efficient at idle, so the engine has to suck in a lot more air to be able to maintain, say, an 800, 900 RPM idle. There's actually all kinds of shit going on, I think. It's kind of choking, and there's reversion. It's like bum, 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 you know. But the end result is you just have to get more air in at idle. And like tuning for cams in a lot of ways is very simple. It's really the drivability and putting more air in at idle and stuff like that. That's
making
really
sure you don't have too much EGR flow at part throttle.
I mean, that's all the crutch of tuning cams is all the, you know, the drivability stuff. So that's like if somebody says, you know, my car doesn't run with the cams. Well, tell us more about why it doesn't run. Does it just have a hard time maintaining idle? If it doesn't run at all, you probably installed the cams wrong.
Yep, or if you're getting the cam codes of cam over retarded or over advanced, bank 1 or bank 2.
What's the other one on 5 liter? There's at cam sync.
Yep.
Cam sync error. A 5 liter, because it's got variable cam timing, will tell you if you time the cams incorrectly.
Although if you do that with a GT500 or a Cobra, you will get a similar code if you can get it to run.
Oh, you will? Okay.
Yeah, it's just most of the time when people get the cams that far off time, it won't even run right to the point that you can get it through a cycle to get it to trip that code.
Yeah, because I mean, a Cobra, a GT500 only has 1 cam sensor, right?
Yeah, 1 cam sensor on the passenger side.
Yeah.
The driver's side of the engine, I'm thinking opposite looking at it.
Coyote's got 4 cam sensors for variable cams, so that thing knows where the cams are all the time. You were going to say, Carrie?
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a few questions here. If you guys are ready for them.
Yeah.
David says, I currently make 380 to the wheel on a Mustang dyno. What are the benefits and typical gains going with methanol injection with forced induction?
So he's making 380 wheel with forced induction?
I think it's a 2-valve.
Then that begs the question, what type of forced induction?
Could be
a torque tech kit or a
Vortec?
Vortec?
Torque tech kit. Could be a non-intercooled Vortec. Could be, well, ProCharger never made a non-intercooled kit officially, but methanol, man, we talk about methanol all the time on this show, don't we?
He said it's a 2-valve.
2-valve. Oh, I got it right.
You got it.
It's gonna, if you don't want to tune the thing on the edge, it's not a huge difference. It's a nice little buffer. Could provide some cooling, octane benefit on a non-intercooled kit. I would run straight methanol. It's going to richen up a little bit, work with your tuner as to how they want to handle that. You know, it's a tool. I'd rather see an intercooler. But what do you think?
Same boat. If you have an intercooler, I don't think there's much advantage to it unless you just have really poor quality fuel and you're looking to supplement it with a tiny bit of octane from methanol. If it was a PD blower setup, I'd say don't even bother unless you're running a PD blower setup without an intercooler. And then, in which case, all right, you need something in there. Throw a little meth in there.
He says it's intercooled ProCharger D1SC.
I wouldn't, if it was me, I wouldn't bother with it if you have 93 octane. The efficiency of the intercooler should be pretty good on that ProCharger setup unless you bought like a really cheap core off eBay.
Well, those ones you can see right through. It's like shaped like a bullet muffler. You remember this?
Yep. Fucking retarded. But that's my 2 cents. Whoever's tuning your car, get with them on how they would want the methanol or water meth installed, set up, what nozzle they want in there, and what mixture of liquid or liquids they want you to use.
James says, what are your thoughts on C85 versus X85 from VP Racing on a boosted Gen 1 5.0 with 75mm pulley? Thinking one of these might be better than Pumpy 85 for my half-mile event since it'll be under high load.
Gen 1 with a 75mm? I think I've probably played with the most ethanol fuels.
You've played with C85. I don't know if you played with X85, have you?
I heard X85 is the cheaper cousin to C85. So this is what I heard, is that C85 is oxygenated. Well, ethanol's already oxygenated. So You know, you can get into a lot of like smoke and mirrors with ethanol blends at some point, I think. He doesn't sound like he's probably making 700, 750 rear wheel.
Yeah.
Man, I would say I don't think the special blends of ethanol even start to matter till above 1,000.
Yeah, and I'm of that same school of thought that unless you're over 1,000, there's no real. Not that there's no point in running a C85 or X85 because it is very nice from a consistency standpoint, knowing exactly what's in the fuel all the time, as opposed to having to worry about what did they mix it with today. But from an actual horsepower gain, I don't see it being a whole lot. But if you're going to be running it at events for the sake of consistency, knowing exactly what's in there and just kind of like that peace of mind, I don't see a problem with C85 or X85.
It's not going to hurt. Just don't know that you need to spend the money for it.
Yeah.
Jonathan wants to know, is there any consideration from VMP to make fuel hats for the F-150 15 and up?
I know that we have some own internal interest in that, but
yeah.
I don't know if we think the market will support us spending the money on doing something like that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's a tough one because like the people that are going to modify an F-150 to the point of needing a fuel hat are so few and far between. But those are the ones that have the most fun.
Exactly.
So.
Case in point.
Yeah. Yes, both of us have F-150 trucks with blowers that.
We would both love to run E85.
Yeah. I mean, we make another 50 to 100 wheel with corn. So it's a possibility. I don't know if anybody else out there is doing it. Certainly, it's a lot easier to package on an F-150. There's room above the tank, I guess, between the bed and the tank.
Yeah, at least a little bit.
Yeah, a couple 465 pumps, some wiring. You'd be in business.
Maybe we'll try it on one of our trucks before too long.
Yeah.
See what we'd have to do. You're good to go, Carrie?
Steve Hall says, it's just a shout out saying, hi, Carrie, Joe, Justin, love the show, guys. Favorite part of my Tuesday.
Nice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's always nice to hear. AKDMB, who's a regular follower of ours every week, wants to know thoughts on using a Cobra Jet intake manifold with a twin 67 on a Coyote-powered Factory 5 Cobra replica. Car weighs nothing, so in normal driving you use hardly any throttle angle. Worried drivability may suffer, and an intake manifold that uses a stock throttle body might be a better option.
So I want to talk about this. Have you ever driven a Factory 5 Cobra?
On and off the dyno.
On and off the dyno. So I'm in about the same boat. And what really is drivability in a Factory 5 Cobra? Because you're sitting, like, I can't show this on camera, but your legs are like bent towards the center of the car.
Yeah.
So,
well, he wants to make sure that when he's taking it to the grocery store, that he doesn't get too uncomfortable with the angle he has to hold the pedal to maintain 60 miles an hour. I'm just kidding.
But it's a valid question, because anything that you do in that car applies to any other Coyote, and that's what we're here to talk about, Coyotes and Mustangs and tuning and stuff.
I would say the hardest part's probably going to be getting the cold air MAF set up to fit right on there.
So, that's a good point.
Do you have a picture of that blue one that you did?
I know. There's a picture on my Facebook of me sitting in one, tuning one. So
that one did that one have a Cobra Jet?
I think it did.
Oh, man.
I'm going on my Facebook now because I have my laptop up here.
But from a only driving around at part throttle standpoint, my 2 cents, you're not going to notice a difference in feel of power at part throttle with the Cobra Jet manifold with a twin 67 as opposed to a stock manifold with a stock throttle body. Drivability shouldn't be an issue as long as your cold air setup is done in a good way and you don't have, it's not janky, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I mean the PMAS and the JLT cold air both work good for that setup. You know, like Joe was saying, I mean, twin 67, it tunes like a stock throttle body. It tunes like a stock twin 60, which isn't far off from the twin 80 on the Coyote. You know,
Or the single 80 on the Coyote.
Single 80, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a good reason to be afraid of that setup. I'm trying to find that picture that I have.
That has to be from almost a year and a half, 2 years ago now.
It was at the old shop, too.
Yeah.
Photos of you.
That'd be you tagged in. Did you add them?
I think so, because it like if you look at my profile, it shows up somewhere.
There's an old Mustang.
There's so much stuff on here.
While he's looking for that, I'll take another question though.
Adam Kelly says, "Hey Justin and Joe, how are y'all today? Any update on the 11 to 12 GT500?"
We've been too busy to really mess with that. There's
Yeah.
on another topic, there's an 0304 Cobra that Justin was tuning yesterday, but still kind of on topic. I've been so busy with working on 160, 173 stuff and trying to keep up with current tune orders that I haven't had time to mess with the 1112 or the 18, even though the 1112 is kind of your thing at the moment.
Yeah, the 1112's got a 160 on it for some R&D on that stuff, getting all that stuff sorted out. Yeah, it's going to be going balls to the wall again because it's got long tubes.
Yeah.
I think we got some video of that somewhere, putting long tubes on it, right, Chris? Yeah. So.
And then we just got to get the dyno back because all the current dyno stuff has to be done at your house, and that's kind of like R&D only because of the amount of time that's involved with going there, bringing all the stuff over there, then coming back.
Yeah, I almost died driving to my house last night. That's another story.
Did you have the wheels that he brought to drive it on, or were you still on the slicks?
We were on radials.
Oh, man.
We were on radials. So I don't think I'm going to find this Cobra Jet picture myself on my Facebook.
You got too many pictures of food on there.
Yeah, among other things. We are going to get back on the 1112 GT500. So, like, this is the last time I think that the company travels for a couple months, and we'll be able to stay in the shop and do a lot more dyno and fun stuff again.
All the R&D.
Yeah. So, anyways, where were we going with that, Carrie? That answers that question.
That answered that question. Next question. Esteban says, "Hey Joe, got your tune for my Mustang last Friday with Rami here in PR. Is it Rami?
Rami.
Rami.
Yeah.
Here in PR, Mustang Roush. The car pulls strong, man. Thanks for the support." So
No problem, buddy. I did that. It was a 93 and C16 tune when I was doing remote with Rami on Friday.
Nice.
Mike says, "Thoughts on a 2000 GT 2 valve using nitrous? How much is safe on a stock blower?"
2000 GT2 valve, how much is safe on a stock blower?
I can tell you not how much to run on a 2000 V6.
You don't know your limits until you pass them.
Yeah.
So I got lost in that question there. He's saying the stock intake manifold on a 2000 GT?
Lower.
Yes. Lower.
Not blower, lower.
Okay. Lower end, bottom end.
Yes.
Okay.
And like, the way I look at that stuff is like 100's real safe, 125's okay, 150, 175, you're getting stupid. Just like keep it to like 125 or 150, I think. What do you think?
I'm in the same boat, especially if it's still on the stock plastic PI intake manifold. If you're on like a single plane EDT or Edelbrock intake manifold, maybe 150 is okay, because you don't have to worry about puddling or anything like that on the single planes as much as you do the dual plane. But at the same time, your stock short block, if you really want to party, throw a lot of octane at it. Get yourself a standalone fuel system for the nitrous setup so you don't have to worry about taxing the returnless fuel system and getting the pressure drop in the returnless fuel system because you're teeing off the Schrader valve and you can't model nitrous in the stock returnless fuel system setup. So you can't model it for the hit of nitrous. So you get a lean spike that you either have to bake air into the fuel pump voltage table and account for the variables of fuel flow and pressure to get the voltage table somewhat accurate in that range and only that range. And it's,
man, been there, done that. Forgot all about all that shit.
Yeah, it's not fun. But if you're running a single plane Edelbrock intake manifold or something like that, and you have a standalone fuel system for the nitrous setup, and you have all your ducks in a row, you're making sure that the car has good fuel quality and whatnot, I'd say you can run a 150, 175 with some decent octane, not really have to worry about it, but I'd rather see a 100 or 125 shot on that car in the stock intake.
Sounds like good advice.
Sound advice?
Nick says, "Took my GT500 swapped 07 GT to the track.
Nice.
As a VMP tune, stock pulley, and JLT 123 intake, plus a VMP heat exchanger and VMP SC tank.
VMP all the things.
Ran consistent 117, 118 at 440 DA. 4400 DA, sorry. What will I trap adding a Trinity TVS and VMP tune? 91 octane, stock manifold, stock throttle body.
A nice pickup.
Yeah, probably be 75-ish horsepower on 91 octane.
Yeah.
Maybe 100 if you're lucky.
Should go, I don't know, 6 to 9 mile an hour faster.
Yeah.
Be a good rule of thumb.
Our buddy Slab Shack is asking a question. He says, can you explain why bolt-on NA50 cars keep up with the GT500? He told his friend efficiency.
Not necessarily efficiency. They have a lot of mechanical advantage running the RPM they do, especially with the shorter gears that they run. So with a street race with a 5-liter, that's going to be most of the reason why they're so close with the GT500, because the GT500 has a lot of torque, but it doesn't run a lot of RPM, and it doesn't have a lot of mechanical advantage from gearing like a 5-liter does. Yeah,
5 liters essentially got close ratio transmission, whether it's the auto or the manual. If it's got an auto, the auto car will always pick up every time that manual driver has to shift,
especially the A10.
Yeah, oh yeah, unless the manual driver is incredibly good.
And even then, you still have a decent RPM drop every gear, and the only reason the GT500s do so well stock is because the amount of how flat the torque curve is.
Yeah. And the GT500s are like always fully optioned, big brakes, big wheels and tires. You know, like 400 pounds heavier than a base model GT. So yeah, you know, and it's like there's like street performance and there's drag racing, and on the street you can like win with some surprising stuff.
The street is, as they say, the great equalizer.
Yeah, yeah.
We have someone that's asking if we could flash the caption photo up again. So we're going to go ahead and flash that up real quick. So, do you want to
go? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Did you want to mention the contest that's going on again?
Yeah.
Real quick, since we're going to go ahead and flash it up.
Caption this photo and you'll win some VMP stuff. Joe and I are going to pick at the end of the show who's got the best caption.
So make sure you caption below in the comments on either YouTube or Facebook in order to win some swag.
Pop culture will get you far with my vote.
Probably much farther than me.
Yeah, it might be careful. If you want Justin's vote, be careful with what you do pop culture wise, because you may not get it. You don't
Sad but true.
Yep. Story of a businessman.
Let's go on to the next question while that's up there and see if we get any more captions coming in. Gan says he has a 09 Mustang GT 5-speed and a motor with 2,000 original miles. No track. I'm interested in getting a supercharger. I don't want to shred tires. He wants to know about our 1.9 VMP kit. Do we have one? Or a 2.3 Roush, would that be okay? He's looking at 400 or less rear wheel.
Are we selling complete 1.9 liter kits for bolt-ons for naturally aspirated cars?
No, we're not. The 1.9's a head unit upgrade. That's why it's so cheap. And then the 2.3 Roush kit's great, but I mean, he doesn't want over 400 rear wheel.
He may be better off with a Vortec or turning the Roush supercharger way down. I mean, we can get it to make whatever you want in the downward direction. Your EGTs start going up.
Just don't be afraid of horsepower.
Yeah, put good fuel in it. I mean, are they only doing the single belt phase one, or are they doing the dual belt phase one?
Single belt phase one. So if you actually get a phase one Roush kit, it actually only makes like 7 pounds. It's pretty darn mild.
On like a 3.5 upper pulley.
Yeah, I mean if you have to be that mild, but there's no reason a 3-valve with 2,000 miles. Man, turn that thing up to 500 rear wheel. Just use your foot to modulate the tire spin.
We can set max throttle angle to 45 degrees like some other cows will do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of it. 400 horsepower at the tire ain't no thing with decent quality fuel on a blower setup on one of those.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it.
Nike.
Anthony says, we've discussed smallest pulley to be used on the Gen 2R being a 79 millimeter on 93, but I've encountered other members running 72 on 93. How is that?
Will it physically work? Yes. the octane doesn't care what pulley's on the car in terms of it running, driving, and going watt. The issue is how long will it support that at that octane level, and the answer is unless you completely neuter the tune, it's not going to be long.
I mean, we like to run like 15, 17, sometimes 19 or 20 degrees of timing. If you were going to try to run that small of a pulley on pump gas at sea level, you'd be down like around 10, 12 degrees of timing. Unless you wanted to turn off the NOx sensors and just run on trace detonation.
Yeah.
You know, which I don't know how long the motor will last that way.
Yeah, if you're racing one of your buddies and he notices that your tailpipe's going like this the whole pole, have him wave.
And the other variable is there are starting to be some there's that low compression illuminator, 9.5 to 1.
If you want to turn your Coyote into a Cobra.
Yeah, I mean, that low compression motor takes all the boost and all the timing. But if you run it at the same timing and the same boost as a high compression motor, it's down about 100 horse.
Rick says, hey guys, Rick here, 14 GT, stage 3 VMP on E85. Question is common for O2 sensor codes within 3,000 miles. Replaced with OEM motorcrafts about 3,000 miles, now code is back. Any input, thanks.
Most of the time I see issues with O2 sensor codes on E85, it's because of the placement of the O2 sensor in the header. I only know of a couple stock manifold cars that have had issues with O2 sensor codes on E85 with the stock manifolds, but there's nothing from a tuning standpoint we can really do about that. It's the condensation buildup of burnt E85 on the tip of the O2 sensor when you start the car. Do you know which company did the article on that? Was that Bosch themselves that did the article on O2 sensors in E85 having failure issues?
I don't remember. I don't know if I saw that.
Short answer, have we seen it? Yeah, I've seen it. Most of the time with headers, usually not with stock manifolds. If you're having issues on stock manifolds, consider parking your car at a different angle or not running E85 if it's something of concern to you.
Yeah, and I mean, the root of this issue is a lot of long tube headers, the O2 sensors go in horizontal, and they actually need to be tilted up. Even like as little as 10 or 15 degrees, the condensation will run out of the sensor body.
Peyton says, I know 91 and 93 octane varies. Does pump E85 vary? Or if it's tested at E85, then it's just E85 period?
So I think his question, he's asking if it varies in octane or...
If it varies in makeup?
Yeah, so E85 isn't real. This is my take on it. E85 is like, what, 105 octane on paper? But because of the cooling effect, we don't really look at E85's octane level. The other thing we look at is how much gasoline it's mixed with. And E85 stands for 85% ethanol, but the law says it can be anywhere from 51% to 90% ethanol, depending on how they decided to mix it. And the reason people talk about like the race grade pre-mixed ethanol is because it's consistent. In Florida, we don't have a problem. It's always E80 to E90 pretty much. And if you stay at the same station, it's usually the same. But people up north, they get E70 in the wintertime, so there's more gasoline in the mixture, helps the car's cold start better. And then people in Arizona are legally mandated to E54 per Arizona law. That's the maximum they can run, and that's the whole variable. And I think most of our customers, we got a lot of customers that run E85. So kind of how do you see them handle that?
Handle the variability, or because his question is if E85 measures at E85, is it E85? Like in the sense that as long as it measures specific gravity-wise at 85% ethanol, do I have to worry about anything tank to tank?
Oh, yeah, the quality. So, so because we talk about like bad quality 93 and good quality 93. I think that falls under ethanol's got so much octane and so much cooling that it just doesn't seem to matter.
It's kind of irrelevant as long as there's 85% ethanol. How upwards of 70, as low as E54 I've played with, and above E54, the content of ethanol doesn't seem to matter from a octane standpoint It matters more so from stoic point and making sure the car is not rich or lean standpoint.
Right.
So if you're tuned for E85, don't really worry about what's mixed in it, other than the specific gravity of it being what it needs to be E85. So you need a 85% ethanol to 15% gasoline mixture if you're tuned for E85. It's basically all you need to worry about. Don't worry about, well, did they mix 1% toluene versus 1% xylene in this tank?
Yeah. At least at the power levels we're talking about.
Exactly.
1,000 horsepower and below, where we feel like pump E85 is adequate.
Mm-hmm.
Austin says, I have an 11 GT500. He just got a Gen 2R with a 2.4 pulley. Do I need to do injectors with it, or will stock work for a while?
What's your, well, it's not really an opinion thing, but I'll let you answer it.
Yeah, do injectors. You know, when we had the Gen 1, we used to do 2.4 and 2.5 pulleys on stock injectors, but the Gen 2R flows good. You don't want to be running out of fuel. It's a pain in the ass for your tuner. It's a pain in the ass for you.
That and on GT500s, it's different to run out of pump than it is injector.
Yeah.
Because GT500s have that handy-dandy fuel rail pressure sensor that will help us if your pressure starts dropping. But if you're out of injector, there's not much to be done about that.
Yeah. I mean, we could run them with fuel pump voltage boosters and run more pressure to make up for the small injector, but it's just easy while the blower's off to put bigger injectors in, whether it be the 56s that we sell for just over 300 or something like 1,000 cc that, you know, ranges from $699 to around $1,000 depending on the brand you go with.
Exactly.
Billy wants to know, what are your thoughts on running M5 over E85?
M5, like methanol?
M5 is methanol with 5% nitromethane. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. That's like
gas mask?
Yeah, I don't think it's too bad, but yeah, it's that's a whole other conversation for like 2,000 horsepower race car stuff. But methanol, M1, M5, you almost need a mechanical fuel pump to keep up with it. You need 2,000 cc and larger injectors.
So you need 3/16 drill bits.
Yeah, pretty much. You have to cook your oil every once in a while to get the methanol out of it, but it boils off at a very low temperature. Just
like
crazy.
170 degrees?
I think it's probably lower than that.
Dang.
Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff with running methanol. Like, save that for like the street outlaws, you know. They're
3,000 horsepower, 481 Proline motors?
Yes, exactly. If you want to see a lot of that stuff, you can go to the No Mercy race at South Georgia Motorsports Park and the Lights Out race in February at South Georgia Motorsports.
Zach says, speaking in terms of basic calibration, will most tuners' calibrations add timing on its own via NOx sensors by adding Torco/octanium in the tank? Or does that have to be added into the calibration?
Well, that's a really general question.
I can only really speak from our side of things, and if you're running a 93 octane tune from us and you put Torco in the tank, it will add timing in on its own. The advantage to running a tune that's set up for 93 and Torco is that NOx sensors add in timing based on whether or not they sense knock activity and the duration of time versus RPM that the NOx sensors are active. So say above like 0.3 or 0.4 load and above 750 RPM, there's what's called a function of normal advance rate and fast advance rate that per RPM, it adds 1 degree a second, 2 degrees a second, 3, 4, whatever you specify the amount of degrees of timing to be added up to the limit before the next event occurs. If you graph NOx sensors in a data log and you have no detonation, you'll see that it looks like a step ladder. And that's the amount of degrees it adds in per RPM based on that function in the tune file.
It takes time to climb the step ladder.
Exactly. So on the hit, if you have a tune that's set up for 93 and Torco, you'll be at a more of what I would call a feed forward. So you'll have more timing on the hit and you'll carry that timing further throughout the entire pole. And then when you're adding timing in, you're adding timing in on a higher base value to begin with. So say you're a naturally aspirated 11 to 14 GT, and on the hit you're generating 0.85 load at 3,000 RPM, and we're calling out, we'll call it 17 or 20 degrees in the borderline knock table for OP in that region, and you added the Torco in, so now it could be 22 to 25 degrees in that region. It won't be 22 to 25 degrees in that region because there's an amount of time it has to consume in order to add each degree of timing in. So the simple answer to your question is it better to get a tune for 93 on Torco when you're tuned by us? In a way, yes, the car will run stronger, especially on the hit, but it's not necessary because the car will still add timing in because that's a feature we still allow it to take advantage of in our tune files.
Well, I've still even got a max allowed timing to add in too, though.
Exactly. So there's a max amount of knock sensor advance and a max amount of knock sensor retard, but there's also a cap to, or multiple caps to the amount of timing the engine can run at a specified RPM and load. So
if you tell your tuner what you're doing, you're probably going to get a better result.
yeah, moral of the story there.
Yeah, that's the technical aspect of how it works. And like Joe said, on the hit, the knock sensor will start adding timing if it can, if it doesn't detect knock, a knock event. But like on a manual trans car, every time you change gears and let off the throttle and get back on, that counts as a new hit.
And it has to restart that advanced logic.
Yeah.
Poor Boy says, VMP, thank you for being patient with me, especially Paul. I will be sending my configurations to you, Joe, soon. And he says, you can do it, Joe.
Nice. If it's, don't send me configuration files. I've had a lot of people do that lately.
.csv.
They think they sent me a data log, and 3 days later I go to look at it, and it's a .cf4, and I'm like, oh, man.
CF4 is the data logging configuration. CSV is the data log itself.
And I feel so bad because it's been 3 days, and it's like, man, if you would have sent me the right file to begin with, I could have you a tune update in like 15 minutes, but I'm going to need you to retake a data log unless you saved both formats when you took the log.
You know, we've got some people helping with the tuning support. We'll have to mention to them to look for that stuff. I think I brought Brian up to speed on that, but we should mention that to Michelle too.
Yeah, and I'll mention it to Paul and Joey as well.
Yeah, I mean, all of our sales and support people at VMP, you know, we're training them in a very, very basic level of tuning support, just so they can check for those things to make sure, you know, that we've got what we need, so a tuner like Joe or myself can do something with it when we do get to look at it.
That, and there seems to be not necessarily a misconception, but a school of thought for people that, hey, can you just tell the tuner to check my data log real quick? And it's, to some degree it is that simple, but to most of the degree it's not. It's not a quick thing that I'm working on 10 other people's stuff. Because you're on the phone, like I can't just stop everything I'm doing to save your data log, open it, and take a peek at it.
Well, and that brings up another topic. How badly does your data log need to be looked at?
Yeah.
You know, if your car's not running, you know, and it's been down for a little while, we definitely want to get you taken care of. If you got a naturally aspirated car and you send us a data log, and your car's running good, it's got like cold air and a tune, those tunes are like, I mean, they're like right there, just out of the box, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes we get requests from people, I'm not driving my car till you review the first data log. Well, even our blower tunes, you can drive the car easy. We do want to see a data log for the more highly modified blower setups before you're going to beat the living snot out of it and race it and everything, because we can troubleshoot installation errors and other weird little things that pop up from time to time. But you know, unless you've got a really highly modified setup, everything we're sending out is based on previous experiences, pretty close, right?
Yeah, it's not, most of the issues that I see are installation related issues more so than actual tune problems. And even some of the installation errors, if you're just driving the car like a normal, sane person, it's not going to hurt the car. So it's not like oh my God, I'm going to bleed out if I don't have someone look at my data log right this second.
You know who blows up the car? Let me tell you who freaking blows up their car.
Who?
Okay, so, and this is not a specific person, this is the people. I'm driving down the highway. My car doesn't feel right. So, I'm going to clear it out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat on it till it feels better, till it works this problem out.
I think it's loading up with fuel, so I'm gonna do 4 back-to-back watt poles
on the highway.
Yeah,
and then all the pistons have blown out the tailpipes, and they're laying on the side back there.
Have you seen the picture someone posted a while back of someone put a turbo kit on a 3-valve, never changed his tune from his NA tune?
Oh my God!
And put all 8 rods and pistons through the block.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
All 8 of them just blah.
So
moral of the story there is, if you're a naturally aspirated tuning customer, we certainly want to get you squared away, but whether or not if the car is driving okay, a data log review isn't I can't drive my car issue. It's I may be able to get a degree or 2 more timing out of the car with the way it's configured and the fuel that's in it, but it's not going to be like the difference between me gapping a demon or not when I go to race somebody Friday night.
I felt like there was a Fast and Furious reference there or something like that.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We have about 10 minutes left. I have a number of questions, and I know that you also want to talk about Cobra stuff.
Cobra stuff,
all right. To also do the competition.
Okay.
So you want to hammer through a couple questions, we'll talk faster.
Lockdown 100 says, I have a 17 GT base, currently have E85 tune, 170 throttle body, MBRP catbacks, and a PMOS. My IAT with the PMOS are way over ambient. On a 91-degree day, on the street runs 135 IATs, moving at 50. Should I be concerned, and what is too high for IATs?
That's a naturally aspirated setup, it sounds like?
Yeah, I didn't hear any talk of a blower in there.
Yeah, 170 thermostat. I mean, okay, naturally aspirated cars, cold airs, they flow more, but they're not truly cold airs. They pull air from the engine bay. We do see them increase peak horsepower on the dyno. There's definitely always the caveat that your trade-off is you're pulling air from the engine bay.
You just chimed in, yes, NA.
And so here's my assumption here. If you're racing, you're probably forcing a lot of air into the grill, and you're getting some cooler air into the engine, so it kind of washes all out at the end of the day. You're going fast enough when you're racing to get cool air. Yeah,
when you're cruising around the city at 10 degrees of throttle angle, maintaining 60 miles an hour, having your IATs at 60 to 130 doesn't make a damn bit of difference at part throttle. It'll make a little bit of a difference at watt, but you're talking 1 to 5 horsepower on a lot of setups like that, unless you're talking 150 IAT versus 70 degree IAT.
Doesn't really hurt anything.
Yeah.
What do we got next, Gary?
Dave Warden wants to know your thoughts on no lift shift and anti-lag.
It's hard on transmissions, but if you're set on those ETs, that's...
If it's no lift shift done in the tune, it could be easier on transmissions. But if it's someone that doesn't have a no lift shift set up and they're no lift shifting on a car, it can certainly be harder on a transmission.
Yeah, because there's a lot of ways to do that. I mean, there's watt boxes and there's, no lift tunes and all kinds of logic we can play with, how we rev limit things and stuff like that.
Ken says, hey boys, I just installed your heat exchanger on my 13 Shelby GT500 and I must say I'm very impressed. 20 degrees lower IAT2s everywhere now.
Nice.
Thank you, Ken. Good to hear.
I've been using a 94 tune for the street and 100 tune for the track using VP Octanium. Octanium has been doing the trick for me this past 1.5 years, but I'm thinking about changing to Boostain. Any thoughts? I'm at 756 to the wheel right now and ran at 1055 at 132 on 17-inch slicks.
We're going to be doing a lot of testing on Boostain. It looks very promising. I like how their stuff mixes effectively. There's always some of those octane boosters, there's that stuff in the bottom of the can that you kind of wonder where that goes. So, I mean, that all sounds real good, Ken. Everything sounds like it's working the way it should be from your horsepower numbers and stuff. You have any thoughts, Joe?
No. Without knowing the weight of the car, does a mile an hour sound right? 132 and a quarter?
Yeah, depending on how fast you're shifting and stuff.
Okay.
And
I guess the DA.
Yeah, if you're really banging gears, it's probably going to go a little faster, but
Nickel says, I see that we sell the Ben Kellemer Stage 1 trainee. Have we considered selling his G-Force gear set that he offers?
Is that available now?
I know that he was in the prototyping and testing phase a couple months ago. It may be available. It'd be worth having a conversation with Ben to see if he's selling it yet.
Ben's on vacation soon, so we're going to miss him at American Muscle this year. But yeah, we'll talk to him about that. I've been excited for that to come out.
Yeah, but to, I guess, more directly answer your question, when it's available, we'd love to sell it.
Yeah.
Jeff says 03 Cobra with a 2.3 VMP Gen 2 installed. When should I look at a return style fuel system? What is the advantage? Can you make good power returnless?
Can you physically make good power returnless? Absolutely. You'll have to do it on a gasoline-based fuel if you want it to work well.
Yeah.
And the advantage / the point that I think you should go to a return style fuel system is if you're racing the car every weekend, or not, I guess not even every weekend, but if you want to run E85 and you want to do so reliably and consistently, there's guys that run the Ford GT fuel pumps with a booster and dual FPDMs and get away with running E85 on some of the more mild setups. But in my opinion, that's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it's E85 return fuel system, and keep the fuel pressure sensor and just tune it.
Yeah, I mean, the 85 and a return fuel system is easy.
Don't worry about the hesitation at shifts and whatnot.
Chad Dowd chimed in. VMP for the win, that is all. Or hashtag America.
Nice.
Hashtag America. We still have a number of questions, but we're down to like 4 minutes, so I know that we wanted to hit up on some other topics.
03 Cobra stuff. So I drove, we installed a Gen 3 on Rick Cackness's. So the Gen 3 is bolts right in place of the Gen 2 very nicely. There is one small modification required. There's a coolant tube that you have to clearance a little bit by kind of denting it in, basically. So we're doing a video on that, showing pictures and different angles of how you need to do it. Chris, did we have that one on there?
The dented tube?
Yeah.
I can get it up real quick.
It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it this time. We'll put it in the instructions and in the video. I just wanted to see if you had it. So we've got it on Rick Cackness's car. We've pulleyed up to the largest pulley that we make, a 3.3, and we've started the initial dyno testing. Everything looks awesome so far. Air temps are great. Everything's working. I actually drove this car home in the rain yesterday, and I found out Rick Cackness. There's a couple odd things about Rick Cackness, as you all kind of knew already. He's a good friend, so I can say this stuff. Yeah, do you have the picture of the Post-it notes? There's Post-it notes all over the car. And I found out later on those were for me, so I remembered to turn on the intercooler pump. And
Rick just likes doing his due diligence.
yeah, he's thorough, man. Rick is thorough. And then I'm driving down the road, and I find out there's no windshield wipers on Rick's car.
Need that Rain-X life.
The backstory behind this is the mobile dyno is up in Pennsylvania from the last show, so I'm using the dyno at the old shop, which is at my house. So we got it up on the dyno. I think you have a dyno shot there. You showed that earlier, yeah. So we've been making some pulls, getting everything dialed in. We put in some bigger injectors for Rick, some ID 1050s. So he's got plenty of fuel on the corn. And
we don't have to play with those 80s anymore.
Those frickin' 80s.
They worked because it was E85, but goddamn 80s.
That's basically the gist of it. We're going to make some more hits on it over the weekend. I need to bring some sensors and some equipment home from Pennsylvania to finalize the tune and the numbers on it so I know where everything is. But it's going good. I mean, that sucker just bolted right on there and worked. We did an instructional video showing like all the different things. We're going to provide some couple extra new bolts to hold down the blower and stuff, just so everything looks shiny and new. And you know, like there's that bolt on the front that's crow-footed. We're going to supply a shorter bolt for that, so it just is easier to install. Got lots of little details like that worked out.
Nice. Nice.
Since you have to modify the coolant crossover tube, we're going to give you new O-rings for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what we found with these setups is that customers are, you know, sometimes these cars are older and have already been modified, so we give you a new set of bolts and you have all the right bolts for like the intercooler and, you know, the blower and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes your life easier.
We try.
Yeah. Do we have any other pictures to run or anything I'm missing on the Cobra stuff?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, cool.
I want to check out this list.
Yeah.
How about we go ahead and flash the photo back up there for those that might have tuned in late and didn't
One
see the photo?
More chance for, yeah, one more chance to caption this picture. And Carrie, are we going to pick a quote live here? No, a caption?
Yeah, you're going to pick from what you have, and then we'll announce the winner.
Do people have the ability to like comments when the video is live?
Well, the problem comes in is yes, but no. We thought about that, the person with the most likes, but the issue is YouTube. Our users on YouTube won't be able to participate in the same.
I see.
I mean, I've got everything here from like world peace to decapitation to, you know, lots of religious references, which I guess we should expect from the picture.
Yeah.
I know what Joe's going to pick.
Which one?
I can't tell you.
No, you just got to point to. Oh, okay. I see how it is.
I can't tell you. I know what Jonathan Pavilla's thinking here. He's trying to decide, should he upgrade to a Gen 3? He's at the crossroads.
He is. Because wasn't he had his car listed for sale for a while there. I don't know what ended up happening with that.
Yeah, he's racing it again. He's coming to Mod Nationals.
Man.
He's going to win. He's told me he's going to, he's going to represent. He's going to represent well. We appreciate that, John.
We have a couple
We do.
more coming in.
That's funny. There's some funny stuff coming in. I like that. God created the VMP Stage 3. I'm allowed to pick more than one?
If you want more than one winner.
Oh, yeah. So the plan right now is I pick one and Joe picks one, right?
Well, the plan was for you guys to work together to pick one, but if you want to pick two, you can pick two.
We have to work together?
I don't know about that.
Joe and I are both fairly analytical, so this could get complicated fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The other option is what we could do is if you guys narrowed it down to two, one for each of you, then I could throw it out there maybe on Facebook, and the one with the most likes will win.
I say we go with the participation trophy style and do a winner and a runner-up.
Participation style. Okay, sweet. I can go with that.
All hair.
We have some more coming in. Sorry.
It's all good.
So Joe, I put some asterisks clip next to the ones that I like. Actually, I'm gonna do it hard to read with asterisks, so I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
JD.
Oh man. Instigator.
I get a lot of these references, but I'm afraid the caption's going to have to be kind of short, so. That's interesting.
Do you get that reference?
No, I don't.
Oh man.
Oh shit. This is
Did anyone else see the Eurotrip reference in there? Oh man. I wonder if he intentionally did that.
See, I thought that's what you were going to pick.
That is my top pick so far. So
Ah.
accurate.
Oh.
Hold on.
Hey, that's my idea, Mitchell. That was the most appropriate for you, Mitchell, because you're the pharmacist and the professor.
I see what they did there. Oh, there's more down here.
Man,
Yeah,
we forgot
you have
to,
more coming in as we sit here.
we didn't talk about Mitchell Page. I had his car on the dyno all weekend. I guess I have those pictures. I gave them to Mitchell. He's all like top secret, super
Secret squirrel.
super secret squirrel grudge racer. Last Supper, Whipple's Last Supper.
Oh man.
Eighth wonder of the world. All right, Joe, what do you think we're gonna pick?
I know which one I'm gonna pick. Are we doing we each pick one, or are we gonna do we agree on one? Because I know that you have an asterisk next to one of the ones that I like.
Let's go with it.
Okay.
We've reached an agreement.
Okay. Monty Python and the Holy Blower
Mighty Python and the Holy Blower.
by Andrew Vincent.
Yep.
You have officially won the prize of all prizes.
Thanks for playing, everybody.
Yep.
Thanks,
And-
everybody.
And a shout out to GTO Nation for the Euro Trip reference.
So like us on Facebook, share this a lot. So share it with all your friends on your personal Facebook page, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And we'll see you again next week.
Andrew, I will reach out to you and get your contact information so that way we can send you your goodies.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye, kids.